Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I'm going to show you how to do a circular brick stitch for bead weaving. And to begin with, I have threaded my needle with about 3 feet of a fireline thread. You can use whatever thread you're most comfortable with. I've chosen to use black. I might have chosen to use blue if I was doing this for myself, but for the video I wanted us to be able to see the stitching a little bit more clearly. And I've also selected 3 colors of seed beads, and these are size 8/0. And so what you want to do to begin with, to start the circular brick stitch, is you want to thread on 2 beads, and we're not going to be using a bead stopper. Thread on the beads, pull them all the way down your thread until you get to about a 6 to 8 inch tail. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start a ladder stitch. So we're going to take our needle and go back through the first bead. And as we're pulling it, we want the beads to line up with their edges touching. So we don't want them to be on top of each other. I'm going to go now back through that second bead and pull my thread through. Again, I'm kind of holding my beads so that their sides are touching. Okay, I'm going to thread on a third bead and now go back up and under that second bead and down through the third bead. So this is a traditional ladder stitch, which you're doing right here. And as you can see, we've got 3 beads on it so far. So now we're going to reinforce our ladder stitch, and to do that, I'm just going to go, here's my thread, I'm just going to go back through the second bead, pull my thread tight. Now I'm going to go back through the first one. Okay, so you're stabilizing your beadwork. Now I'm going to take my thread, skip the second one, but go down through the first one. So I've created a little loop. So what I want to do is I want these beads here to form a circle. And to do that, I'm going to help them out a little bit with my fingers. I want to keep the stitching on the sides, that bridge. I don't want them to collapse in on each other. So I'm going to guide them into a circle. Now I want to take my thread and loop back through what was the first bead to create another bridge. So this is going to be the center of our circular brick stitch. So to begin the second row, what we're going to do is we're going to thread onto our needle 2 beads, pull them down. You can go from behind and go under the bridge of thread, pull it, and then go back through the second bead you strung on the second row and pull tight. And we're just going to do that all the way around, but adding just 1 bead instead of 2. So put the bead on your thread, and actually I find it easier just to go under right here, going under that thread, pulling back up through the bead you just strung. And you're just going to work your way around. And there's no rhyme or reason to exactly how many beads you're going to need to use for the second row or the third row once you get there. It's just whatever fits comfortably with your beadwork. So I'm just going to keep going around. All right, now that I've gotten to what is the end, so this is a little too small of a gap to add another bead. So to connect my first bead of my second row and my last bead of my second row, I'm going to go down through the first bead, and up through the last bead. and I'm going to pull it tight. So there's one row. To begin the third row, we're just going to do the same process. We're going to pick up 2 beads. Remember, we do 2 beads to begin with for the first stitch of each row. Go back up through that second bead and pull tight. And then continue along the circle, just adding 1 bead at a time. We're to the end of our third row again, so we're going to do the same thing we did to end the second row. We're going to go back through the first bead of the third row, pull tight, go back up and under and through the last bead of the third row. And then we'll be good to start our next row. So that is a circular brick stitch. It's very handy and a lot of fun. Here's an example of a piece of jewelry using the circular brick stitch. I've actually used 3 different circular brick stitch rounds, all with different numbers of rows. The bottom one has 6, and you can see how much larger it is than the middle one, which has 3. And this one here has 4, so you can really vary the amount of rows you have to alter the size. So here with this bracelet, we've actually used the circular brick stitch rounds as little embellishments, which have actually been sewn on top of another bead woven panel, which is the right angle weave. So have lots of fun with a circular brick stitch. It has lots of different applications, and you can use it as an embellishment, you can use it as the actual piece of jewelry itself, and you can make it as large or as small as you want.